Good afternoon, More Medic 1. Today we are working on a 2011 F-150. I've got my power probe set up here, and the issue is the left rear door ajar light won't turn off. I've already removed the door panel so that we can get in here to the switch. Here is your lock switch, and your wiring harness plugs into this, and there's a sensor in there to when you shut the door. It's a real simple switch, open or closed. It's a normally open switch, but when you close the door, it completes the circuit, and then it turns the light off on the dash when you close the door. Alright, so here is the plug that plugs into the lock module or the door latch. This is what controls the light on the dash. It tells you the door's open, and it's also the power and grounds to the actual locking of the truck. So what we're going to do, we're going to take my voltmeter, get my power probe here, and on the solid green wire we should be getting around 10.8-ish volts. We're actually at 11.5. That's good. The battery's good and hot on the truck. So about 12 volts, 10 to 12 volts. And what we want to look for is ground on the the black with the purple tracer. And we're not getting anything. I'm going to see if we have ground for the lock. For the harness, and that one's a blank one. Two blank ones. 1, 2. Okay, so if we take the green wire and we complete that circuit. Alrighty, to diagnose this, what we're going to do, we're actually going to ground out the power side of this circuit. Since it's just a simple switch activated circuit, we should be able to rule out having to replace a lock module if the switch inside is good. So what we're going to do, we're going to find our wire that has the 10 volts, which is the green one, second one from over. We got about 11 volts. Now I'm going to hit my power probe to ground, and our light indicator should go off. So the issue is that we probably, more than likely, have a ground. Well, I know it's a ground issue because we're grounding the wire, the harness of the truck. We're forcing ground on and completing the circuit and making it work. So there's got to be a break in a wire. There's got to be a ground wire that's broken. It doesn't matter if a ground wire is chafed, because if a ground wire chafes against the body, it's not going to do anything. It may cause some radio interference on down the road, but we're actually talking about a broken wire. I guarantee you that that's what we're going to find. Let's dig just a little bit deeper on this thing. So let's go ahead and remove this rubber boot between the pillar and the door, excuse me, and what you want to do, you just want to look for some chafed wires or possibly broken wires. But I kind of jumped ahead here, but I want to show you this is where we were on our ground issue. I'm not getting ground on my black and purple wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this wiring harness all the way up. All the way up. And then we're going to find the black and purple wire here. And I'm going to probe it at this point and see if we have ground up to here. we do. So from here to the end of the connector, there is a broken wire somewhere. Let's go ahead and snake this rubber boot back some. You can. Try not to pull any wires into. Oh wow, look at that. There's a couple of wires right in this area, right in the center where this door pivots whenever you open and close it. The yellow power wire for the windows, the insulation is broke there. We got some insulation broke here on the two speaker wires. Just keep, uh-oh. Look at there. There's our black and purple wire. It's completely broken in two. There's our issue. Alrighty, I'm going to use a solder and seal butt connect on this repair. What it does, it's got a low temperature solder, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat gun to high and let it heat up. And we're going to melt that solder. You'll see it drop in here in just a second. Right there. Go ahead and we're going to finish off the heat shrink. And that's as good as it needs to get right there. Now let's re-verify that we're getting ground to our and through our connector. Black with purple stripe. Good there. And we're still getting power to the power wire. So let's just go ahead and hook this up momentarily before we put all this back together. So let's go ahead and hook up our wire to the lock module. Okay, we have our left rear door ajar on, illuminated. The message center says its door is open, and it is. So let's simulate closing the door. I'm just going to put a screwdriver in here and I'm going to close it onto the screwdriver, and let's just see if our message goes away. So I'm going to pretend I'm shutting the door. Alright, we got it. So I'm going to reopen the door and the message should come back on. Opening the door now. So our door is ajar. So we have diagnosed and fixed the issue. So what we're going to do, I got to put all the door panels and stuff back on, put the wiring harness back in the door, and I'll catch you when I get all that done. Alright, so I've made my repairs to those wires and we're good to go there. Well, but the reason those wires do what they do is because here is the pillar of the truck, and here's the door, and here is the wiring harness going through this rubber grommet, and every time you open the door it's bending these wires, and it's just not a good design. I think it would work better if the wires were more supple. You know, maybe have a little bit more of an elastic sheathing over the wires. The wires that came through here were really hard. The insulation was very stiff, and it's probably not the best. I don't want to say it's the wrong wire, but in my opinion it needs to be a more of a giving style wire. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this wiring harness fed through the door and hooked back up to the speaker and the lock module and the window regulator motor, and we'll get the door panel put back on it. We got the wiring harness put back, all the little clips put back where they go. So what we're going to do, we're just going to operate the window. And just make sure none of your wires are rubbing the window or the regulator. Looks good. Alright, let's see what happens when we open the door that had the issue. Alright, we got her fixed. Thank goodness. You can tell right here is about where those wires were broken and chafed that I fixed. It's a pretty good transition from open to close. It's inevitable that it's going to probably happen on the other doors as well. So I'll just tell the customer to keep an eye on that. If the windows stop going up and down, or they get another error message for another door ajar, then we know that's the first thing we need to look at is the wiring harness. But anyway, guys, if this helped you out, give me a thumbs up and smash that like button. Would help me out a ton. Y'all have a good rest of the day, and tomorrow's Friday, thank goodness, and then we got a weekend coming up. But anyway, thumbs up and subscribe if you will, and we'll see you guys on the next one.